Full strength Borussia Dortmund, but with the result earlier on, and obviously as we're underway, you've been listening to Chelsea beating Salzburg by 2-1 to qualify for the knockout stages. Manchester City are already through. Now the priority for Pep Guardiola's side is to go through as group winners, as Mahrez straight away is sent forward on that right-hand side, but Dortmund deal with Mahrez. But the other early result in the Champions League was Sevilla beating Copenhagen by 3-0, which now means that a draw would be enough for Dortmund to go through. As Dortmund are on the attack, Moukoko with the shot, but the flag was up on this near side anyway. Offside, free kick to Manchester City.
Just trying to figure out Dortmund's starting positions. Emre Can's playing so deep, it's almost like a double centre-half there. With Schlotterbeck on the left-hand side, it looks like it is a back four. Hazard playing as a left-back and Sule out in the right-back area. So that is going to be an interesting battle on the right-hand side for Man City, with Mahrez up against Hazard, who's obviously more comfortable attacking, but he'll have to do a lot of defending tonight. And then, you have to try and look at how City are playing. Alvarez is playing just off that right-hand side, with Haaland right through the middle. So it'll be interesting how that plays out as the game goes on.
Sule did play as a right back against Stuttgart at the weekend. 5-0 success, Dortmund's biggest win of the season so far. Walsall are leading Harrogate by 1-0 in League Two. Cambridge are 1-0 up at Wickham in League One. The commentary with 5 Live final score with the video printer is available through the red button, the website, and the iPlayer as well for 5 Live's final score. And our commentary tonight is also being carried on BBC Radio Manchester, as Northampton are 1-0 up against Sutton United in League Two at Sixfields. We'll keep it to date as the goals go in, but our focus is here with Manchester City, and Haaland out to Cancelo, and then he backheels the ball, but nobody had made that run forward on the left-hand side, and it was able to be cleared away by Sule, who's going to be closed in by Haaland. His clearance is headed back by Gundogan. Portsmouth 0, Oxford United 1, a latest score in League One. Dortmund are on the attack. Brandt picks it up. He's got options to his left, and it's back with Julian Brandt, and a very good challenge from John Stones. Ball was played out initially towards Giovanni Reina, and as it was played back towards Brandt, Stones was tucked in and did well to get the interception.
That's a big chance for Dortmund. Comes from Rodri, been slack in midfield, playing a pass without looking infield, goes to Brandt. He's actually got Moukoko running out his right-hand side, who's ahead of Ake. I think that's the pass. I know it comes back to Brandt, and he almost gets his shot away. It's good defending in the end, but I think if he reverses that to Moukoko on his right-hand side, he is actually in on goal and can get his shot away. But it's a dangerous break for Dortmund.
Mahrez for Manchester City. Alvarez had made that run forward, but Schlotterbeck was there to tidy up for the yellow shirts of Borussia Dortmund. Moukoko, free kick in favour of the German side. Lost their way a little bit of late, really. A run of 1 win in 5 before they've actually had back-to-back wins against Hanover in the German Cup, and then Stuttgart in the Bundesliga, just starting to find a little bit more of a rhythm. As Schlotterbeck, to the vast experience, Mats Hummels at the heart of that Borussia defence. And Can across to Zula on this near side in front of the main stand, and then Erling Haaland's presence forces Borussia Dortmund to go back, and it's with Korbel. All in red. Brandt comes very, very deep. Plays it back to Hummels, trying to beat the City press. Little touch from Bellingham. Jude Bellingham. Sule, patient play by Borussia Dortmund. 4 minutes in here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Moukoko stopped playing there. I think he thought he was going to get the free kick. Manchester City have it. We talked in the Away Days podcast about this statistic, that initially there was a little bit of doubt, but my homework had paid off. 55 matches at home where they scored at least 1 goal. June 2020 was the last time where Borussia Dortmund failed to score. Best part of 2.25 seasons for that 55 match sequence, when they were beaten 4-0 at home again by Hoffenheim in June 2020. So this vast crowd here today will be hoping to see a goal as they look to join Manchester City in the knockout stages. Back to Ortega. Didn't have a particularly good record actually in German football against Borussia Dortmund. Obviously 5 seasons were with Arminia Bielefeld in Bundesliga 2, and then when they were promoted to the Bundesliga, hardly surprising, they lost all 4 encounters against Dortmund. Walsall have got a second goal at home to Harrogate. They lead by 2-0. Here is Cancelo for Manchester City. On the halfway line, back to Ake. Adeyemi was putting him under pressure, the young German international. Ortega in a claret goalkeeping outfit away towards our right-hand side. Gundogan's forward ball, interception from Reina. Into the air it goes and tied up by Zula, heading the ball back to Korbel. Bit a patient opening, 6 minutes, 0-0.
Yeah, but both teams are showing an attacking intent. You look at Dortmund as they try and build up, they're just pushing 4 players up on Man City's back 4, and it's really brave, it's really risky, but they've had some success with it.
Gundogan's forward ball was intercepted. Adeyemi couldn't control it, puts pressure on Cancelo. Cancelo doesn't deal with the pressure. Adeyemi now can come forward, running at Ake, and he was caught really in a sandwich between Ake and Cancelo, and the Italian referee shows a yellow card to Cancelo, and Borussia Dortmund have a free kick just over 25 yards out from goal, 0-0.
Yeah, it was a bit messy and panicky again from City, Cancelo and Ake in particular. When he's getting back, Adeyemi's just running inside Nathan Ake. Cancelo comes back, makes the challenge. I think Ake probably had it, he had it covered. I don't think Cancelo has to bring him down, but it's just panicky moments. I mentioned a minute ago about Dortmund pushing their 4v4 basically up front against that backline of Man City, and it's causing them problems so far.
That's the voice of James McFadden, former Scottish international, who's with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Colchester lead Crawley by a goal to nil in League 2. So it's fractionally right of centre. I'd say it's about 26, 27 yards out from goal. The blonde-haired figure of Julian Brandt is eyeing this one up. Manchester City have everybody back. Sky blue shirts on the edge of their penalty area. It's Brandt who goes for goal. Ooh, that wasn't far away. Ortega seemed quite relaxed.
That's why I'm laughing. He made that look as if it was a lot further away than it seemed to us. He was so calm in there, but it's a decent effort, I have to say, from Brandt. Looked like he was going to shape to whip that to the back post. Steps up, he gets good pace on it. Just into the side netting, but I'm not so sure about how calm Ortega was in goal there.
I didn't seem to get too excited. I was watching Ortega. I think if Ortega's relaxed, I'll be relaxed. But you're right, he just clipped the side netting. Stockport 1-0 up at home to Carlisle United in League 2. 0-0 here in the Champions League. John Stones playing at right back. Good to see John Stones back. He's been out since, mid-September, when he left the field at Wembley for a hamstring injury against Germany. He was back on the bench at the weekend against Brighton, didn't come on. Previously had missed the last 5, but of course with the World Cup in very much on the horizon, John Stones will be glad to start here tonight. Cancelo forward for City, low ball in towards the penalty area. Hummels stretching, clears it away. Bellingham lays it off. Adeyemi penned back though by Gundogan. Back to Hummels. Haaland was putting him under pressure. Hummels will bring it away eventually and gets it, scrambles it clear with his left foot, because all of a sudden he looked up and there were 3 sky blue shirts closing in on him quite rapidly. 0-0, great atmosphere. That was the one thing we were always guaranteed. There's no substitute for being here. There really isn't, in this atmospheric and iconic stadium. Haaland out to Cancelo, strokes it back. Ake lets it come across his body, passes it forward to the right-hand side. Now with Ruben Dias. Manchester City have been so strong. We talk about their attacking prowess and the goals that they score, but defensively in the Champions League, there's only City and Bruges, one of 2 teams who are yet to concede in open play in the Champions League. Bellingham, the only player to score, and that came from a header from a corner at the Etihad. Captain for Manchester City is Gundogan. His forward ball laid off by Foden, who now wants it and gets it. from Cancelo, just in from the left touchline midway through the Dortmund half. Rodri out towards Mahrez. It's a high ball that is controlled with his left foot. He's on the attack now, right-hand side of the penalty area. Fleetwood 0, Forest Green 1 is the latest score. Rodri now floats a ball into the penalty area. Cancelo to Foden, stabs it first time. Cleared away on the half volley by Hummels and out of play for a throw. The yellow wall is a bouncing wall now, jumping up and down in unison. Don't look at it too long, James, but you go a little bit funny that.
I was just thinking that there. I'm looking at it first going, wow, that's so impressive, and then I'm like, oh, make me feel a little bit dizzy watching it.
There is Cancelo back to Ake. That's definitely on the bucket list, to one day come here to Dortmund and to stand in that South Tribune. Peterborough 0, Accrington 1 is the latest score in League One. Cancelo is attacking. Cancelo's cross curling and out of play, left by Hazard, curls and drops out for a goal kick. 0-0, what, 11 minutes played.
City are getting a bit more dominant with the ball. It's a couple of times they'll be down this left-hand side. The first occasion when it's dropped down to Foden, he plays it first time, but Haaland had made the run to the back post. This occasion, Cancelo crosses it to the back post, and Haaland had made the run to the near post. Alvarez was in there as well. So, yeah, I think they're starting to get a bit of control. Cancelo's getting a much higher starting position in this left-hand side, and Stones is sitting more conservative on the right.
Brandt plays the ball out to Reina. In it goes to Mukoku. Hazard's made the run. Reina's cross is cleared and eventually chipped away by Rodri. Mahrez now can maybe come forward inside to Haaland, inside the City half. Back to Mahrez. Couldn't take it with him over the halfway line. Schlotterbeck clears it away and it runs off the shins of Rodri and out of play for a Borussia Dortmund throw on that far side. Doncaster 0, Stevenage 1. Stevenage are going so well at the moment. Second in the table, just a point behind the leaders Leyton Orient in League Two. Back it goes then towards the Swiss goalkeeper for Borussia Dortmund, Gregor Kobel. Schlotterbeck now to Hazard, the brother of the former Chelsea player Eden. Of course, he did have a time at Stamford Bridge himself, Torgan, but never actually appeared for Chelsea, who earlier today, in case you missed it, beat Salzburg by 2-1. So Graham Potter's side have qualified for the knockout stages, joining Manchester City, who with Bruges, Bayern and Napoli had already confirmed their place in the knockout stages. Rodri, just outside the centre circle of the City half. Stones, back now to Ruben Dias. Short diagonal ball, played early by Gundogan. Alvarez coming on the inside. Now with Gundogan. Foden collects it. Cancelo was running forward on the left-hand side. Adeyemi had gone back with him. And with the interception, it's back with Dortmund. Brandt, who keeps dropping deep. Out towards that far side for Reina. So they have two English-born players in that Borussia Dortmund starting lineup. Jude Bellingham and Giovanni Reina, the son of Claudio, who of course had a spell at Manchester City and also at Sunderland, where he was born. Talking of the North East, Hartlepool 0, Salford 1 is the latest score in League Two. 0-0, Champions League, live on BBC Radio 5 Live. And Dortmund, now with Chan, miscontrols the ball. You could hear the groans of a rather exasperated Dortmund crowd, because all of a sudden now they leave themselves vulnerable to Manchester City coming forward over on that right-hand side. Mahrez, centre field, Rodri to shoot, right-footed, and drags it well wide, off target, goal kick. Nearly a quarter of an hour played, and it's 0-0.
Had a chance to break there, Man City at speed, and it goes to Mahrez. Haaland had gone beyond, Alvarez was running up in support, and he had Gundogan just inside him, and he just slowed it down, and the chance kind of went then. And when it comes to Rodri, Cancelo, who has done an unbelievable amount of running already, he's going and pressing Sully when he gets the ball, he's having to recover and tuck in. When Adeyemi gets the ball, he's offering again, and the pass is denied.
Well, Adeyemi's got round the back of Cancelo here. This is an opening for Dortmund. Adeyemi steadies himself, and Ortega makes the save. It was a rather weak left-footed effort, and it was straight at Ortega. But can't help but feel that's a chance squandered by the German team.
That's a huge chance, a huge chance. Adeyemi has options inside him as well. Moukoko, he's got Reina, Bellingham's making up the ground. If you're going for goal from that angle, you have to score, because you've got better options in the middle of the pitch. It's a let-off for Man City, a really poor and tame finish when he gets into that position. Just opens his body up as if he's going to pass it into the back post. He just hits it straight at Ortega and goal. And that is a let-off, and that comes from, speaking about it a minute ago, João Cancelo, the work that he's doing in this left-hand side. You look at him now, he's playing left wing, he's more advanced than Phil Foden. So when Dortmund win it back, if they can go and exploit that right-hand side, the left-hand side of Man City, they're right, quicker, they will continue to get opportunities like that.
But even if you look on the right-hand side, John Stones as a right-back, he's almost playing as a right-winger, isn't he? I mean, we've seen it through Guardiola, how the inverted full-backs, both of them are extremely high, and therefore Rodri and the two central defenders, if there's a break on, Dortmund have certainly got the opportunity to try and exploit the width. But it's still 0-0. Let's get an update from Turf Moor, Burnley-Norwich, Chris Coles.
0-0 here as well, Ian, but all Burnley playing with the confidence that comes with a 13-game unbeaten run. They've created the game's first couple of opportunities. Nathan Tella shooting just wide from the edge of the area. Nice drop of the shoulder to create that chance. And Anas Zazuri bending just wide from the angle of the box. Not seen a great deal of Norwich so far. It's 0-0.
Rodri with Ruben Dias, his forward ball. Alvarez slips, and he was quickly surrounded by 4 Dortmund players who go back to their goalkeeper. Half-time in the Rugby League World Cup. Dave Woods.
10 Cook Islands, 8, that suits the Welsh just fine. Roderick Ty with that wonderful individual try. Cal Laybut with another individual effort from 10 metres out, helping Papua New Guinea to 10-2. But Paul Olberg finished off a really smart move left by the Cook Islands, keeps this game in the balance. Papua New Guinea 10, Cook Islands 8.
You can also watch that, the second half, on the BBC Sport website. And there is a new episode as well of the latest pod about the Rugby League World Cup available on BBC Sounds too. 18 minutes played, forward ball, Gundogan to Haaland, sliding challenge by Hummels, picked back up by Mahrez, and then Hummels back to his feet with a terrific diving header to divert the ball behind for a corner. Boy, the Borussia Dortmund supporters love Mats Hummels there. Flying header, great agility from him.
What a reaction from the crowd. He does really well, because Haaland, we know, has got the pace to cause Mats Hummels problems, but he reads it well, slides and challenges it, knocks it wide, and when he gets back, makes that header. This place erupts. They loved it, whether it's because it's Matt Hummels, whether it's because it's Matt Hummels against Erling Haaland. They absolutely loved it.
Corner kick then to Manchester City. Far side, swung over from the right. Ake's there with his header. Back towards Haaland, bouncing ball goes past him, and Moukoko gets the ball away for Borussia Dortmund. Picked up then by Cancelo, and only City had got everybody forward there. Now it's with Rodri. Dortmund still trying to keep it tight, playing 4-5-1. Here is Rodri. Gundogan chips the ball over the top. Cancelo on the attack. Adeyemi back at him, goal side, forces him away from the penalty area. Then Rodri, Gundogan. Such a good signing. In fact, it was the first signing, wasn't he, from Pep Guardiola, from Dortmund for £20 million in 2016. And what a servant he has been. Over 250 appearances now for Manchester City. Guardiola last night was singing his praises, not just about him as a player, but also as a person. 19 minutes played, 0-0. Here is Rodri. Good game though.
Yeah, it has been. I think City have grown into controlling the game as we expect with a possession. Just maybe that final ball has to be a little bit better, but Dortmund have shown they can hit back as well. Yes, Adeyemi and Reina on the other side are going to have to do a lot of defending, but it's not that they're just sitting back constantly. They are still offering something on the counter, and probably Dortmund have had the better chance, best chance of the game, and just picked the wrong decision. Jude Bellingham, 2 or 3 minutes after that, was still having a go at Adeyemi because he had options inside. But yeah, it's been a great game, and no surprise we're going to mention the yellow wall again. They've not stopped, and I expect that to continue.
Leipzig are leading Real Madrid by 2-0. Bradford City are 1-0 up at home to Swindon. Plymouth 0, Shrewsbury Town 1. Benfica lead Juventus by 1-0 in the Champions League. So Juventus really are, well, they're going to not actually make the knockout stages as it stands. 0-0 here. Paris Saint-Germain and Benfica both on 8 points before that group, and in fact Paris Saint-Germain have just taken the lead against Maccabi Haifa by 1-0 too. Here is Ake, the whistles from the German supporters because City are in possession. Cancelo on this near side, the left. Sky blue shirts, white shorts, playing from right to left. Ake miscontrols the ball, he has to drop back into his own half to retrieve it, and then all of a sudden Dortmund have pushed on downfield and have squeezed City into that middle third, but of course it gives now space for Cancelo to run in behind, and in fact he was offside when he had made that run, and it will be a Borussia Dortmund free kick as a result as we approach the midway point in the first half. Let's get an update from Celtic with Roddy Forsyth.
It's 20 minutes gone here, it's still scoreless, the crowd in good voice. Lots of possession football, but I mentioned earlier Celtic's difficulty is finishing. It's been demonstrated twice in this half. Giacomakis scooping over the top when he got a clear side of the goal, and then O'Reilly swiping wildly wide from 20 yards, uncharacteristically for him. So it's still scoreless here midway through the first half.
Cheltenham 1, Morecambe 0 is the latest score in League One. Peterborough 1, Accrington 1 also in League One. So Peterborough have got an equaliser. Ipswich have just taken the lead at Vale Park. They lead Port Vale 1-0. It's Tranmere 0, Rochdale 1, and you are up to date. In fact, I've just noticed the 2 goal scorers for Leipzig, Nkunku and Gvardiol, the defender. I would think that both of those 2 players will be at Chelsea very, very soon. Been heavily linked with Chelsea, who earlier beat Salzburg by 2-1. Walsall have got a third at home to Harrogate, 3-0 in League Two. You're up to date. Don't forget the commentary is available, 5 Live final score, where you can see all those scores for yourself on the video printer. So midway through the first half here on 5 Live. Tomorrow we've got more Champions League action for you. Liverpool at Ajax, Napoli versus Rangers, and our commentary from North London, Tottenham Hotspur against Sporting Lisbon. Chris Sutton joining John Murray tomorrow evening. Stones, forward ball, far side the right. It's a very mild night here. I noticed that Mahrez came out with his short sleeve shirt and he was wearing gloves, but he's dispensed those gloves. I can see them they've been discarded away on the far side. Might be a little souvenir for a ball boy or a ball girl, as Cancelo stopped by Bellingham. Back it goes to the goalkeeper, onto his left foot. Sliced his clearance somewhat, kept in play on that far side. No, it wasn't. It'll be a City throw that Mahrez wants to take quickly and does so. Goes back to Stones. Gundogan, Rodri. This would be enough for Manchester City to top the group. The draw would also be sufficient to see Borussia Dortmund qualify for the knockout stages with a game to play, where they travel to Copenhagen for the final set of matches, where Manchester City will entertain Sevilla. Ake, short diagonal ball, forward to Foden, back to Ake, blocked by Bellingham, picked back up quickly by Gundogan, out to Cancelo. Northampton now lead Sutton 2-0 at Sixfields. Chan, former Liverpool player, to Bellingham. Sula is quickly met by Cancelo. He's been so industrious. I'm not surprised he's just been given a high five by Pep Guardiola. Was almost getting in the way of the assistant referee. He was getting so close to the playing action down below. Now he just cuts a rather more frustrated figure as City give the ball away. But now they have it with Foden outside the centre circle. Forward ball, left-footed. Hazard chests it back to Schlotterbeck, clears it. Brandt under pressure from Foden. And out to Reina. Alvarez is going to put pressure on Schlotterbeck, and eventually towards the goalkeeper. Calmly gets rid of it to the right back Sula along the ground. Again Cancelo quickly closing him down. Hummels up towards Adeyemi. They've got past Ake. Forward ball from Bellingham. Adeyemi is away now. Enters the penalty area right hand side. Pulls it back. Opportunity for Reina. went for placement rather than power. Saved by Ortega away to his left, still 0-0, 5 live.
It's down that left-hand side for Man City again. Cancelo is covering so much ground to go and put pressure on Sully. When he does that, Ake needs to then come over and cover for him. But Dortmund have been really brave in pushing bodies forward and making it very difficult for there to be a spare man. There is no spare man for Man City in defence. So when they break, that chance is on. There was an opportunity just before it to hit the diagonal down the left-hand side. There was a man over that side. It was down this right-hand side again. We had Adeyemi. This time he gets his head up, desperate to look for a pass because of what happened the last time. And he squares it. When it comes to Reina, he's got an overlap. I think his Hazard comes outside him. I think he has to play it into him. And again, it's another tame effort with the side foot at Ortega. Comfortable save, but another great opportunity for Dortmund down the wings.
They've had the 2 only opportunities of the game so far. Manchester City are yet to test Corbell in the Dortmund goal. Ipswich have got a second at Vale Park. Juventus have equalised at Benfica. Benfica 1, Juventus 1, Port Vale 0, Ipswich 2, and it's now Tranmere 1, Rochdale 1. Here is Gundogan for Manchester City, 26 minutes played. Mahrez, right of the centre circle. Stones is out on that right-hand side now, and he passes the ball in field to Rodri, and it's with Gundogan. Forward to Cancelo, gets away from Adeyemi. Gundogan in field along the ground. Manchester City now with Ruben Diaz. Rodri laid off by Gundogan, then he quickly gets it back from Foden. Feeds it out to Cancelo, goes on the outside of Adeyemi, and Hummels again is there, preventing Haaland a sniff of goal so far. Erling Haaland, who is one of the joint leading goal scorers in the Champions League so far with Lewandowski and Liverpool's Mo Salah. 5 goals apiece. Mind you, this man just behind them, Bellingham, who scored in all 4 Champions League matches. In fact, when he did so on match day 4, he equalled a record. He was the 3rd teenager to score in 4 consecutive Champions League matches. Mbappe for Monaco, who funnily enough started it against Manchester City, and his run included a goal against Borussia Dortmund in 16-17. And Erling Haaland, who went on to score in 5 consecutive matches. So that's the record that Bellingham will be looking to try and equal tonight. James, you played here for Scotland in a Euro 2004 qualifier back in 2003. So you've sampled this stadium as a player. But here the yellow wall I really had to increase the voice there because the yellow wall just notched it up in terms of volume.
Yeah, I mean it's really impressive. I did play here. I think the stadium's had a couple of additions since then. I think it was only about 60,000 fans in that, and it was still impressive. But these Dortmund fans, they've not stopped, have they?
Haaland. Now that decision has gone against Emre Can. The Dortmund supporters don't like that. There are hoots of derision aimed at the Italian referee David Massa. Emre Can diving in as Haaland was trying to come forward, and he's given away a free kick.
Yeah, Can's saying that he's got the ball, which he has, there is no doubt, but he's also caught Haaland's foot underneath him. It's a foul. It's the correct decision. I understand that Can's, upset because he's telling the referee he's won the ball, but he's taking the man as well. So I think that's the correct decision.
You might be able to hear amidst the whistles the 3,500 Manchester City supporters who are in the lower tier, and also a section in the upper tier in the stand away towards our right-hand side. Because 30 yards out from goal, right of centre, Manchester City have a free kick. Benfica are back in front in Lisbon, leading Juventus by 2-1. Gundogan and Mahrez stand over the free kick. Mahrez leaves it. Gundogan, right-footed, flat ball in, headed out by Hummels. Bellingham charging after this ball against his England teammate Foden. And then he runs into almost one of the stewards down there as well. Such was his eagerness to get there as it went out of play for a Manchester City throw. Still goalless here on 5 Live. Alvarez hooks the ball back, taken quite high on the chest by Ruben Dias. Stones, option in field is to Gundogan. Scoops the ball forward to Stones. Everybody is back for Dortmund bar Lukaku. Coventry 0, Rotherham 1 is a latest score in the Championship. Coventry were looking for a win to take them out of the relegation zone. Ruben Dias, Alvarez can't quite find Mahrez, and there was a trip there, and Alvarez is going to be shown a yellow card. He's the second Manchester City player to be booked for a foul on Hazard.
It's just untidy from Alvarez. It comes in, he tries to take it first time with outside his boot, he takes a heavy touch and lunges into the challenge on, well, some position of the pitch, you know, just in line with the centre circle in Dortmund's half, and it's a needless one to give away. I'm not saying he's going to be flying into more challenges, but you don't really want to be getting yourself booked out frustration that you've taken a poor touch, but he does need to tidy it up and offer something in an attacking sense for City.
Bellingham forward, Bellingham goes to ground, free kick goes against City. It was Rodri the offender on this occasion. Crawley have equalised at Colchester, close to half-time in League 2. Colchester 1, Crawley 1. Bellingham eventually back to his feet. Pep Guardiola, head bowed, all in black, looking as casual as ever, just stroking his stubble. Penny for the thoughts of Guardiola. Brandt with a free kick, curled in deep, headed away well by Dias. Dortmund try and win it back. Stones with a clearance and goes long. 32 minutes played. Wycombe 1, Cambridge United 2. Chan tidies up at the back. Dortmund in front of 24,500 people stood in that towering stand away towards our left-hand side. They're attacking from left to right, and on this near side the right, Adeyemi is once again coming forward, almost to the right corner of the area. Bellingham slips, tries to win it back. Ball passed forward then by Rodri. Foden's away, up against Chan. Chan just uses his strength. Great covering play by Chan. The Dortmund supporters again like that. And Adeyemi being urged to go forward by the Dortmund manager, Edin Terzic. And the volume once again inside the Westfalenstadion increases, because Borussia Dortmund competing very, very well here against one of the favourites for this Champions League competition. Adeyemi up against Cancelo. Infield to Chan. Back to the young German international. He's only 20 years of age, already got 4 caps. Here is Bellingham. Chips the ball across towards that far side, the left. Hazard, Reina ahead of him, went infield. Rodri was there to win it back for City. Alvarez now to Gundogan. 3 sky blue shirts going ahead of the Manchester City captain, who just retreats, slows it right down in terms of the pace, and then gets the ball back from Rodri. Paris Saint-Germain have got a second goal at home to Maccabi Haifa. PSG 2, Maccabi Haifa 0 in Group H. Remember, Benfica are leading Juventus by 2-1, and both Benfica and Paris Saint-Germain would be going through to the knockout stages. Dortmund are giving the ball away. Foden to Haaland, gets onto his left foot. Again, Hummels, right place, right time with a block. Goal at Celtic, ready for side.
And the scorer is just being announced. Giacomakis for Celtic, and he has played 17 games for Celtic and AEK Athens in the Champions League, and it took him till tonight to score. It was a sweeping move. Celtic had 2 bites at it. He had the last nibble, and it's Celtic 1, Shakhtar Donetsk 0.
Thank you, Roddy. Crucial for Celtic. Can't qualify for the knockout stages of this competition, but they could still try and snatch third and a place in the Europa League. As here is Moukoko, cuts it back. Adeyemi, central area, crowded out in the end. Lacked the conviction really to get a left-footed shot on target, and City deal with that.
I think he was surprised the ball would come to him. It looked like Moukoko was going to have a shot, and he just plays a nice little reverse pass into the path of Adeyemi. I think he's surprised by it. He is surrounded, can't really wriggle away from Ake. But again, Dortmund's showing a threat and a cutting edge going forward. They're the ones that have had the shots on target. City have yet to test the goalkeeper for Dortmund, and Dortmund are looking like when they break they can cause problems.
Wimbledon 1, Crew 0. Latest score in League 2, and Benfica are now leading Juventus by 3-1 in the Champions League. Bellingham to Sula. Adeyemi running in behind Cancelo once again, crosses the ball, Moukoko had to score. And he's planted it left-footed, running in, 8 yards out wide, and well wide. But another chance for Borussia Dortmund.
He has to score, you're absolutely spot on, Deno. It's a great run from Adeyemi. He's inside Cancelo, and the ball's just played up the wing, and he makes that run inside, beats him for pace. He gets his head up, and he plays a brilliant pass into the path of Moukoko. All he has to do is step onto it, get a good connection. He opens his left foot up and tries to pass it into the far post. It slides off his foot and goes wide. It's a huge opportunity for Borussia Dortmund, but no surprise again, it's down this right hand side for Dortmund. It's Adeyemi at the heart of it. A huge opportunity for Dortmund. They should be in the lead.
Well, that has prompted, it seems, every man and woman, boy and girl in that huge end towards our left hand side to start jumping up and down again in unison. But really they should be celebrating a goal, and one can't help but feel that we know how ruthless Manchester City are when they get their chance. And Dortmund now have had 3. City won't squander theirs.
No, I wouldn't think so. I think that is, the big issue for Dortmund, because the chances they've created are very good chances, very good opportunities where, particularly that last one there for Moukoko, they should have scored from. And City have yet to click into gear in the attacking sense. They've controlled the ball, they've looked really good up until they get around the box. They can't really find Haaland in space, but they will eventually. And that would be the worry for Dortmund, that they don't take these chances and give themselves something to go and defend, because we know City will come back into the game. The changes they can make to the side as well to bring on that attacking threat. You've got De Bruyne, Silva, they will come on at some point to make a difference, and that will be a different challenge for Dortmund when that does happen. So if they get another chance, they really have to take it.
That's James McFadden on BBC Radio 5 Live. Commentary tonight is also on BBC Radio Manchester, but James identified the threat very, very early on. Adeyemi against Cancelo. Adeyemi's had 2 chances and then he's created that other one, and that's really where Borussia Dortmund will be ruining missed opportunities. Cancelo now towards Foden, helps it on, trying to play it in first time towards Haaland, but there was Korbel to pick it up, underarm throw out by the goalkeeper to Hummels. Paris Saint-Germain 3, Maccabi Haifa 0 is the latest score in Group H. Here is Haaland, Mahrez is up with him, Haaland to Mahrez, Schlotterbeck comes across and wins the ball on the edge of the area. Port Vale have got a goal back at Vale Park. Port Vale 1, Ipswich Town 2, the latest score in League 1. In this iconic stadium, we were always guaranteed the atmosphere. We thought there'd be goals. So far we haven't had any, and we've got about 6 minutes to go to half-time. Borussia Dortmund with Nico Schlotterbeck, 22-year-old central defender, to Hummels, who hoists it downfield, headed away by Ruben Diaz. Won back by Can. Can from distance, took a bit of a deflection, took a lot of the pace off the ball, and it was a comfortable height really for Ortega to make the save. Who just rolls it out to Ake as Rodri in front of him ties his shoelace, or his bootlace rather, of his right foot, and trundling forward is Stones on that far side. Now with Rodri. Foden comes to the halfway line to collect it, plays the ball over the top. Cancelo forward on this near side, the left. It's a high ball that he's hit to the edge of the area, and not surprised to see it bounce a long way away. Such was the height when it eventually dropped from Mahrez and Schlotterbeck to clear for Borussia Dortmund. And we're going to have a stoppage in play because Giovanni Reina has gone down with a blow to the head. So 5 minutes to go to half-time. Celtic are leading Shakhtar Donetsk by 1-0. Chelsea earlier won a result in the early kick-off. You may have heard it on 5 Live from our team out in Austria. Salzburg 1, Chelsea 2. And here in Germany, it's Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0. Let's get an update from the Rugby League World Cup. Papua New Guinea against the Cook Islands. Dave Woods.
8 minutes into the second half, PNG leading now 20 points to 8. They're taking control. 2 tries early in this second period. Mackenzie Yeh and Roderick Tai with his second of the game, both scorers. So good for Wales that Papua New Guinea are winning, but they won't want them to win by too many because points difference is going to be an issue. But Papua New Guinea 20, Cook Island 8.
Cheers, Dave. And from PNG to PSG, where Maccabi Haifa have scored in Paris. Paris Saint-Germain 3, Maccabi Haifa 1. Back underway then here in Germany, 4 minutes to go to half-time. Gundogan back to Ake, and he goes to Ortega in his claret goalkeeping outfit away towards our right. Talking of the claret shirts, Burnley-Norwich, Chris Coles.
It's 0-0, Ian, and Burnley have failed to capitalise on their bright start. Norwich, to be fair to them, have been far more defensively structured after a fairly lapsed start. Burnley knocking on the door, Norwich non-existent going forward, really. And with 4 minutes to play until half-time, it's Burnley 0, Norwich 0.
Thanks, Chris. Borussia Dortmund are coming forward. Adeyemi, he's got options left and right and through the middle. Bakoko with the shot, running forward. Didn't seem to be a clean strike, James, saved by Ortega.
No, but he does well to get his strike away. Adeyemi again driving from that right-hand side infield. Makoko makes the run across the face. He just plays it into his path. He takes a touch to get it beyond Diaz, and he gets his shot away early, but it's a comfortable save. But Adeyemi again at the heart of it for Dortmund, showing that threat and that speed in the attack. They go then quickly from defence into a 5v5 in attack, and another save that's forced out of Ortega and goal. Although very comfortable, it's still they're giving up too many opportunities, City.
In Chelsea's group, Milan have just moved second as they are leading in the Maximir Stadium. Dinamo Zagreb 0, AC Milan 1. The defender Matteo Gabbia has scored. That would take Milan just a point ahead of Salzburg going into the final round of games, which of course will come thick and fast in this, what was it, Pep Guardiola used the word last night, an insane season. Such an intense schedule, so they're to be played next week. But Chelsea of course already know that they've qualified with the nature of that 2-1 victory in Austria. Here is Foden for Manchester City, playing from right to left. Gundogan, central position. Rodri to the right of him. Mahrez, right-hand side. Back it goes to Stones. Plays a good ball inside towards Rodri. Rodri now goes square. Gundogan can run into a bit of space here. Edge of the area, carries the ball towards. And then Cancelo, sliding in was Adeyemi. Cancelo thought there was a foul there. He was looking towards the referee, but instead it goes out of play for a throw. Yet to have a shot on target so far, Manchester City.
Yeah, I think that, the threat has no doubt come down the left-hand side from Cancelo, but the balls into the box, or the final ball, just hasn't been good enough. And credit to Dortmund that anytime City get in around the box, 30-40 yards from goal, they get bodies back, they squeeze that space and don't allow Man City to play in between the lines, and then when they win it back, they break at speed and cause their own problems. So it's been a good tactical display from Dortmund.
Adeyemi's just given the ball away, that collective sigh that you might have heard here in this atmospheric ground. Cancelo almost at a standstill over the halfway line. Ake now into the centre circle for Gundogan, his forward ball, Foden's first touch. Love watching Phil Foden play. Here is Gundogan once again, plays it now out towards Stones. Mahrez plays it back to Ruben Diaz, and now it's with Rodri along the ground to Ake. Cancelo plays it back. Dortmund have every yellow shirt back behind the ball. Here is Ake looking for the ball over the top, repelled by the head of Sula, only as far as Foden. Cancelo there was fouled by Adeyemi, and the Italian referee on this occasion will give a free kick as we're about to find out how much stoppage time there will be at the end of this first half. A half of Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0. He's battling with the electronic board, and we're just going to have the 60 seconds, which we're now into. Free kick then for Manchester City, still goalless. Foden is going to take it, just a couple of yards in from the left touch line. Not quite level with the penalty area, it's probably about 25 yards out from goal. Stones forward from the back. Foden sweeps the ball in, Ake meets it, and his header leaping high, 6 yards out at the far post. Couldn't keep his header down over the top of the crossbar, as Paris Saint-Germain are leading Maccabi Haifa by 4-1. But that was probably Manchester City's best chance, James.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's a great ball from Foden, whipped to the back post, allowing Ake to go and attack it. I just wonder if he could have... He's gone for a lot of power. I don't know if he really had to. With him being beyond that back post, if he can just cushion it back where it's come from, towards the opposite post, I don't think he needs to go with so much power, but no doubt it's their best chance.
That was City's best chance as the half-time whistle sounds. Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0, but by far the best opportunities have fallen to the home team, but they have been squandered, and Adeyemi going close on a couple of occasions, but by far the best was when Adeyemi pulled it back and Moukoko, left-footed, placed it wide. 9 minutes to go before half-time. So, half-time here in the Westfalenstadion. Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0. Lady Kelly.
Thank you very much, Dano. James, as Dano was saying, the better the chances have fallen to Dortmund, but City have had opportunities as well. Even though it's goalless, it's been an entertaining first half. Yeah, it has. It's been really competitive. I think that, you know, the battle of the night has been Adeyemi against Cancelo, both in defence and attack for each other. Adeyemi has put in a good shift to make sure he gets back and trying to stop Cancelo, but he has got a lot of joy. But likewise, when they've won the ball back, the transition to counter-attack, Adeyemi's been the outball for Dortmund. He's been the threat. He had a great opportunity where he should have squared it, and he goes for the shot. It's a tame effort, but anything good has come down that right-hand side for Dortmund, and anything good has come down the left-hand side for Man City. So it's been a brilliant battle. It's been entertaining. I would like to see Man City have a bit more of a cutting edge when they're attacking. They've yet to test the goalkeeper, and the best opportunity comes from a cross from a wide free kick for Ake at the back post, where you're not saying he should score, but you're thinking, can he maybe cushion it and not go for power and at least test the goalkeeper, which is something they haven't done in the first half. I'm sure that will change in the second half. Yeah, it's so rare to see Manchester City on this side of the balance of a game, but you just know that Manchester City have got more to come. But what are Dortmund getting right in the first half? How are they stopping City from getting real opportunities, and how are they managing to carve out their own? They're forcing the ball into the wide area. They're allowing it, although particularly on their right hand side, there's Cancelo and Adeyemi, as I was speaking about. He is getting through, Cancelo. He is getting space to maybe put crosses in or pick someone out. But Dortmund have really smothered the middle of the pitch, in particular Haaland. When Foden drifts into that area, Alvarez, we've barely seen him. He's not been able to get on the ball. Mahrez, the same. They've just made sure there's no gaps to be played through. If they're going to get beyond them, it's in the wide area. And then, you know, Hummels gets one where the race looks like he's going to lose it against Haaland. He manages to get his toe to it, forces it wide, then the cross comes in and he's up and he clears it as well. So defensively, they've got everyone back. They've been really stuffy, they've been difficult for the gaps to be played through. But when they've won it back, they've went 5 up and just really went man for man, tried to exploit the spaces left by City. So they've just got it right tactically, but I still think there is opportunity for Man City, particularly when Cancelo goes down that left-hand side, to maybe create. A couple of times it's flashed across and Haaland's made the run to the back, and he should have made it to the front. Then the ball goes to the back and he makes a run to the front. That will be better, I'm sure, in the second half, because Pep will make the changes necessary to get the best out of his attacking players. James, thanks very much. We're back with James McFadden and Ian Dennis for the second half of that game in Dortmund. It's Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0 at half time. Half-time as well at Celtic, where it's going better for the home side against Shakhtar Donetsk. Ready for Scythe.
Celtic 1, Shakhtar 0 at half-time. Giacomakis, the scorer. He had to wait a long time for that. I think I mentioned during play that he hadn't found the net in 17 games for Celtic or AEK Athens in the Champions League. And in fact, it looked as though he would be frustrated again in this one after only 7 minutes when he scooped a good chance over the top. O'Reilly followed him by swiping well wide from 20 yards, and we thought, aye, another of those nights for Celtic. But with 10 minutes to play before half-time, they were pressing intensely. Haksabanovic dropped across towards Giacomakis, who was 6 or 7 yards out inside the box in a congested area, but he managed to get the boot to it correctly, and from that distance he put Celtic ahead. And of course, we know in the other game that Leipzig are beating Real Madrid 2-0. It's an interesting section now. Celtic do have hope of reaching the Europa League and playing Europa League football after Christmas. 1-0 at the moment.
Roddy, thank you very much for that. So Roddy will keep us up to date with everything that's happening in that game at Celtic. Elsewhere in the Champions League, there is lots of focus on the Italian side, so keeping an eye on everything for us is Sani Rojavajala. So Sani, what's happening with Juventus first of all?
Well, yeah, it's been a brilliant game. Benfica are beating them 3-1 at the moment. Antonio Silva for Benfica, 18-year-old future star with a header early on, gave them the goal. I talked about goal line technology before the game, Kelly, and it came to the fore in this one. Juventus got an equaliser as a corner was bundled in by Dusan Vlahovic. The keeper clawed it away, and Moise Kean, the ex-Everton player, bundled it home. Now, the VAR had to intervene because there's no goal line technology today due to works around the stadium, and they decided Vlahovic had got the goal, and Moise Kean, who was in an offside position, hadn't been credited with it. So it looked like Benfica had been pegged back, and they had been until João Mario put away a penalty and then crossed from the right for Rafa Silva to flick home. Brilliant goal for him, through the legs of him as a brilliant flick that makes it half-time. Benfica 3, Juventus 1.
Yeah, Juventus in trouble at the moment. How are Milan getting on?
Just be closing into half-time, they managed to get ahead through Matteo Gabi, a diving header from a free kick. So they are winning 1-0 away at Dinamo Zagreb. Elsewhere, the scores as we stand at half-time, it's PSG 4, Maccabi Haifa 1. All the Galacticos for PSG getting on the score sheet. Of course, I'm talking Neymar, Mbappe and Messi, of course, who's got 2. And RB Leipzig are currently winning at half-time 2-1 against Real Madrid. They've come out of the traps absolutely flying. Christopher Nkunku, targeted by Chelsea, has got the second for them. And just before the half-time whistle, Vinicius Junior has managed to bundle one home as well. So at the moment, half-time, it's RB Leipzig 2, Real Madrid 1.
Sani, thank you very much for that. Sani's going to keep us up to date with everything Champions League this evening. In the Championship, Coventry were on a really good run, but at half-time, they are trailing Rotherham by 1-0. And the half-time whistle has gone between Burnley and Norwich. Let's check in with Chris Coles.
It's goalless, Kelly. Burnley fans have seen this half many a time at Turf Moor this season. Complete domination, but unable to find a breakthrough. They play some lovely stuff under Vincent Kompany. Blistering start, attacking with great pace down the flanks, in particular Nathan Teller had a shot deflected just wide. Anna Saruri first headed and then shot a couple of chances over the bar. It felt a matter of time before the opening goal, but credit to Norwich, they were far more defensively structured after the frenetic opening, but it means they're practically non-existent going forward, yet to have a shot, which really tells you all you need to know. A draw enough to take Burnley to the top of the Championship and Norwich back into the playoffs, and that's how it stands at half-time. Burnley 0, Norwich 0.
Chris, thank you very much. Right, let's take you around League 1, League 2, the National League and the Scottish Championship. In League 1, Barnsley trailing Lincoln by 1-0. It's goalless between Bolton and Burton. No goals between Charlton and MK Dons. Cheltenham leading Morecambe by 1-0. It's Derby 0, Exeter 0, Fleetwood 0, Forest Green 1, Peterborough 1, Accrington 1, Plymouth 1, Plymouth 0, Shrewsbury 1, Port Vale 1, Ipswich 2, Portsmouth 0, Oxford 1, Wickham 1, Cambridge 2. And into League 2, Wimbledon 1-0 up at home to Crewe. Barrow and Grimsby is goalless. Bradford leading Swindon by 1-0. It's Colchester 1, Crawley 1, Doncaster 0, Stevenage 1, Hartlepool 0, Salford 1, Leyton Orient 0, Gillingham 0, Mansfield 0, Newport 0. Northampton 2, Sutton 1, Stockport 1, Carlisle 0, Tranmere 1, Rochdale 1 and Walsall 3, Harrogate 0. Into the National League, Altrincham and Oldham is goalless, as is Bromley against Barnet. So too Dagenham and Redbridge and Boreham Wood. Eastleigh, though, 1-0 up against 10-man Torquay. Maidenhead 0, Solihull Moors 1. Maidstone 0, Southend 2. Scunthorpe have just gone 2-1 up against Gateshead. Wealdstone are 5-0 down at home to Notts County. Woking 2, Dorking 1, Wrexham 0, Halifax 1, Yeovil 0, Aldershot 0, York City 0, Chesterfield 1. And in the Scottish Championship, it's Ayr United 3, Partick Thistle 2. That game just keeps toing and froing. We'll keep you up to date with everything that's happening. Of course, our commentary match this evening is from Dortmund, where it's Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0. We will be back there very shortly, and we'll bring you the rest of the day's sports headlines after the BBC News with Anna Preston.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Rishi Sunak's been putting his cabinet lineup in place during his first day as Prime Minister. There are some familiar faces from both Boris Johnson's and Liz Truss's top teams. Jeremy Hunt stays on as Chancellor, as does the Leader of the Commons, Penny Mordaunt. Suella Braverman is back as Home Secretary. And the former Chancellor Nadhim Zahawi returns as a Minister without portfolio. Here's our political correspondent, Jonathan Blake.
It's really, in a lot of ways, a continuity cabinet. So if people were expecting Rishi Sunak to come and sweep things aside and bring in a whole new series of fresh faces to government, then they're going to be disappointed. But I think, talk to Conservative MPs, they tell you at the moment we need to steady the ship, we do need to unify, and perhaps this cabinet will help them do that.
Earlier, Mr Sunak warned of difficult decisions to come in his first speech as Prime Minister. He said he'd been selected as leader of the Conservative Party in part to fix some of the mistakes made by his predecessor and that work would begin immediately. An investigation's underway after 2 men were shot dead in East London in what police have described as an appalling act of violence. A third man's in a critical condition in hospital after the shooting in Ilford early this morning. Adidas has cut ties with the US rapper and fashion designer Kanye West, also known as Ye, over anti-Semitic remarks on social media. The sportswear giant called the comments unacceptable, hateful and dangerous. Denny Jacobs from London is Jewish and says that Ye's comments have had a real-life effect on her.
I'm scared because there are so many people who blindly follow, blindly believe what other people in power say, and he is in a position of power.
And the Qatari government says what it describes as rumours on social media that the human rights activist Peter Tatchell had been arrested in the country are completely false and without merit. Mr Tatchell said he was arrested, then released for staging a protest against homosexuality being illegal in the country just 26 days before the World Cup takes place there. That's the latest news on 5 Live.
Relax and unwind this autumn on BBC Sounds. Journey into sonic tranquility with Oliver Arnold's Ultimate Can.
Relax into the space you're in. Wherever you are, make it your nest.
Discover the secrets to a perfect slumber in Sleep Well with Michael Mosley.
Let's relax. Breathe in and out.
And drift off to the sleeping forecast.
Warnings of gales in Fisher and Biscay. Viking, north of Tara.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live, your football station.
The UEFA Champions League.
With Kelly Cates.
Back to Dortmund very shortly for the second half of Borussia Dortmund against Manchester City. In the meantime, let's check in on what's happening in the Rugby League World Cup between Papua New Guinea and Cook Islands with Dave Woods.
We've got 16 and a half minutes to play. Papua New Guinea are leading here by 26 points to 12. Lachlan Lamb, their scrum half, the Sunderland player at Lee Centurions, or Lee Leopards as we should call them now, scampering in. But Anthony Gelling's just got to try back for the Cook Islanders, courtesy of the video referee. So not quite in the balance, but it's getting a little bit closer. Papua New Guinea leading here by 26 points to 12.
Dave, thank you very much. Earlier this evening, Chelsea booked their place in the last 16 of the Champions League thanks to a 2-1 win away to Red Bull Salzburg. Mateo Kovacic opened the scoring for the visitors. Salzburg's Junior Adamu equalised just after half-time. And then Kai Havertz sent Chelsea into the knockout stages. Here's what Chelsea boss Graham Potter made of his team's performance.
It's not easy to create chances against this team because defensively they're so intense and aggressive. But I thought we did. I thought we created some good chances, some good play. We've had a lot of games and a little bit of disruption in terms of some really key players missing. But credit to the boys, they've responded really well, picked up points in the Premier League, and obviously to go through like we have in the Champions League it's a fantastic effort from everybody. So we'll take steps. It's not going to be a straight road, unfortunately, but we'll take steps. Tonight was one, I think.
And there's more reaction from Salzburg in the Football Daily podcast. It's available later this evening on BBC Sounds. Away from the football, in the T20 World Cup, Australia bounced back from their opening defeat with a 7-wicket win over Sri Lanka. Marcus Stoinis scored the fastest 50 by an Australian in T20 history to help the defending champions to victory. Tomorrow morning, England are back in action as they take on Ireland. You can hear full commentary on Sports Extra from 4:45 a.m. And ahead of Rugby Union's autumn internationals, Wales have announced that Justin Tipperick will be their captain for the 4-match series. He replaces Dan Biggar, who is out with a knee injury. Time now to head back to Dortmund. It's Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0 as we head into the second half with James McFadden and Ian Dennis.
Thanks, Kelly. I can straight away tell you that Manchester City are going to be making a double change at the start of this second half. Bernardo Silva and Manuel Akanji are the two to be coming on. So that means that City will have 3 former Dortmund players in their lineup. Although, actually, no, they won't. Because it's Haaland who's come off.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's Cancelo and Haaland who have come off. We're yet to have the confirmation with the electronic board as Dortmund players are out there, but Erling Haaland only getting a run out. So what was it, 165 days on his return to Germany when he scored his last goal for Borussia Dortmund and unable to score today. So that's only the 4th time in his 16 appearances that he's failed to score. So Akanji comes on to replace Cancelo, and then Erling Haaland is off and Bernardo Silva is on. The 2 changes made by Manchester City. The Dortmund team, Korbel in goal, Hummel, Süle and Schlotterbeck, with Hazard as a left back. The midfield of Adeyemi, Bellingham, Chan and Reina, Brandt and Lukaku. As the second half we are underway, with Dortmund in this second half attacking that South Tribune, affectionately known as the Yellow Wall. We may have referred to it once or twice in the first half, as those flags are flying, the giant yellow and black flags, and there they find their voices once again in that giant stand. That's the end that Dortmund are attacking then, from right to left. And Manchester City in their sky blue shirts and white shorts now have Stones, Akanji and Diaz. Ake has gone across to left back, and then you've got Rodri, Gundogan, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez and Julian Alvarez. In the Football League, and our commentary is available tonight on the Red Button, the website and the iPlayer for 5 Live's final score. You'll see on the video printer Port Vale 2, Ipswich 2, Stockport have got a second goal at home to Carlisle, 2-0 at Edgeley Park, and Mansfield are down to 10 men as they're currently drawing 0-0 at home to Newport County. We're also on Radio Manchester this evening, so thank you for your company live here in Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0. Foden drifting out to the left-hand side, back to Rodri, central position, Akanji, such a good buy. Just under £17 million they bought him for Borussia Dortmund on a 5-year deal. Swiss international, settled in very, very well. Ake, Out to Bernardo Silva, feeds it to Foden in the penalty area, and already City threatening at the start of the second half. Foden trying to hit it in first time for the inside left channel, wins a corner kick.
That's what Bernardo Silva brings. You know, he's standing wide and there's a chance to play that forward pass, and he does it. It's something that wasn't happening in the first half, and he will certainly be doing more of that as the game continues.
Manchester City corner kick, left-hand side. Foden to take it, headed up in the air by Schüller. Brandt pokes it forward, taken on by Bellingham. Manages to get away from Bernardo Silva. They were quick to surround Jude Bellingham. There was no foul, says the referee. City have got it back. Alvarez now in a central area, played behind him by Foden. And there, just a step out of defence, was Schlotterbeck. And out to Sula, the right back, up towards Adeyemi. Peterborough 3, Accrington 1. So Peterborough have come from behind at London Road. Now looks set for 3 points. Port Vale 2, Ipswich 3, also in League One. There's Adeyemi, far side the right, just in from the touchline, waits for the support from the rather cumbersome Zula, who loses the ball, and Ake's clearance off an outstretched leg of Zula is eventually going out of play, and it will be a Manchester City throw early in the second half. Just a reminder of the permutations with the earlier result in this group of Sevilla 3, Copenhagen 0. A draw enough for Borussia Dortmund to join Manchester City in the knockout stages from Group G, but also City avoiding defeat will confirm their place as group winners. Forward ball over the head of the blonde-haired figure of Brandt, bowled out by Ortega on his City debut to Stones. Gets a pat on the bum from Pep Guardiola. He just ran the ball out of play. You could see his head drop there. There was a consoling tap on the backside from Pep Guardiola.
It's a bit firmer than a pat, I have to say. It was a big gesture from Pep, because you can see that John Stones was disappointed. He was busting forward, just took a touch out of the pitch, but he has been out for a while, and Pep Guardiola just telling him to get on with it.
No foul, says the Italian referee, David Massa. Instead, he signalled it'll be a throw. Northampton 2, Sutton 2 is the latest score in League 2, as a hobbling Giovanni Reina. There was that statistic at the weekend, wasn't there, as Reina, Lukaku and Bellingham, they all scored in the handsome win against Stuttgart. 3 teenagers for the first time scoring in the same game, a Bundesliga record it was. Giovanni Reina will be hoping to line up against England in the World Cup on November the 25th. It's fast approaching, and there'll be comprehensive coverage from 5 Live from Qatar when it all starts on November the 20th. The Rugby League World Cup, you can watch that on the BBC Sport website tonight. Papua New Guinea against Cook Islands, and England-Ireland in the T20 World Cup in Australia. Any early birds tomorrow on air at 4:45 TMS comms from 5 o'clock. Schlotterbeck clears away downfield, still 0-0. Now it's with Brandt. Back to Hummels, now in his second spell here at Dortmund. Out it goes towards Adeyemi. Gave Cancelo a few problems, but on this occasion he's shepherded away by the dreadlocks Ake. Dortmund are forced to switch it, then go back. Schlotterbeck under pressure from Mahrez. We talked before about 55 matches at home, this record of Dortmund always scoring in this impressive stadium. Manchester City have only failed to score twice so far in this campaign. Copenhagen and Liverpool. Bernardo Silva. Dortmund though now have it, and it's with Bellingham. Impressive midfielder, striding forward. Lukaku. Now towards Reina. Chips the ball in towards the penalty area. Adeyemi far side, couldn't control it. Forced away by Ake, still with the ball at his feet. Edge of the area, shot comes in. Hazard stopped, might fall here towards Lukaku. Bellingham was unable to turn, flag was up anyway. Offside, free kick Manchester City, 0-0. They've created another chance though.
And it's another big chance. It's flighted to the back post, just above Bellingham. And Adeyemi steps on it. He has to hit it first time. I don't know why he's trying to take a touch. He just needs to hit that first time. He's about 4 or 5 yards out from goal. He's at an angle, but he just needs to step onto it, side foot it with a bit of power, hit it first time. He takes a touch and the chance goes.
Bernardo Silva into Foden, first time shot, edge of the area, left footed, couldn't keep it down, out for a goal kick, still 0-0. That's 4 chances now. Adeyemi has been at the heart of it as well, either as the culprit in terms of squandering those missed opportunities. There he was a little hesitant at the far post, as James said, hits it first time, you'd think he gets it on target, or he's created chances. There was that one for Reina and Moukoko in the first half. Milan have got a second goal in Chelsea's group in the Maximir Stadium. Dinamo Zagreb 0, AC Milan 2. That would take Milan second in that group. No other scores in the Football League. BBC Radio 5 Live. Nice little flick by Brandt. Schlotterbeck checked, fouled. And Rodri's actually stayed down there. Might have got a bit of a dead leg. So he's going to require some treatment. But Borussia Dortmund really should be ahead, James.
Yeah, they should. Adeyemi has been a standout player. He's been a real threat down the right-hand side, but he's also been the most wasteful with his opportunities. But yeah, they'll feel that they should be in front. I was just looking down a minute ago and Kevin De Bruyne was getting warmed up, so Man City have been far from at their best, but they can still go and win the game. And if they were to manage to get that winning goal or go and score a couple of goals, then Dortmund will be kicking themselves, because they've played well, they've been a real threat going forward, and they just haven't made the most of the opportunities that they've had, and they'll be hoping it doesn't come back to haunt them.
Well, Rodri's been getting some lengthy treatment down there. He's eventually back to his feet, but he's been told by the referee he's just going to have to leave the field of play. Let's get an update from that Rugby League World Cup. Papua New Guinea, Cook Islands, Dave Woods.
8 minutes to play. Justin Olam has just scored Papua New Guinea's 6th try. They lead by 32 points to 12 against the Cook Islands. So Wales still have a glimmer of a hope at the quarters, but it's looking like an England-Papua New Guinea quarter-final the way it's going at the moment. Papua New Guinea 32, Cook Islanders 12.
Cheers, Dave. Let's get an update from Celtic Shakhtar Donetsk. Roddy Forsyth.
That first half goal from Georgios Giacomakis, and so far they haven't looked threatened, barring one shot into the side net of Joe Hardy. Didn't look too perturbed by that. So Celtic on course at the moment for potential Europa League football after Christmas. Only potential, I say. 1-0.
Here is Chan. Forward ball. Adeyemi. City's defence looked a little bit exposed there. They just couldn't get the ball forward quick enough, Dortmund.
That was a huge bit exposed. When that ball comes back to Emre Can, he has to play it first time. Adeyemi is in acres of space on the right-hand side, and Chan takes a touch, I don't know why, and the chance is then gone, allows Man City to recover. But as the play's development, whether it's on the left-hand side, it seems to be that Adeyemi has got loads of space on the opposite side, and if it's on the right-hand side with Adeyemi, Reina on this near side, on the left-hand side, seems to have acres of space. If Dortmund can just win it back, switch the play quick, they can continue to cause Man City problems.
Benfica 4, Juventus 1. Latest score in the Champions League. Paris Saint-Germain 4, Maccabi Haifa 2. MK Dons are leading at the Valley. Charlton 0, MK Dons 1. Wimbledon 1, Crewe 1. Colchester 2, Crawley 2. Fleetwood 1, Forest Green 1. And Charlton are in fact down to 10 men as they're losing at home to MK Dons. Forward ball, Foden latches onto it, left-hand side, cuts it back. Gundogan couldn't take it, falls to Mahrez. Mahrez, penalty surely. He was tripped. And Manchester City have a penalty. It was Chan who brought him down. It looked a clear penalty. Mahrez gets a pat on the head, and Mahrez will take the penalty kick too. VAR naturally will have a look at it, but it looked a penalty all day long, as the two sets of supporters now are throwing beer at each other, it would seem. The VAR is Massimiliano Irati. He'll have a little look at it. But we're told that from the replays it looks a clear penalty. So Riyad Mahrez, whose record from the penalty spot, you might not prefer this statistic, 8 out of 10. But Mahrez waits up against Corbell. Mahrez won the penalty. Mahrez steps up but doesn't score the penalty. Corbell makes the save. Away towards his right-hand side to push out the left-footed penalty, and it remains 0-0.
What a save it is from Corbell, because I think that is a very good penalty from Mahrez. He goes for, it's a side foot with a lot of power, and Corbell reads it and gets a strong two hands to it to keep it out the back of the net. What a save. Man City's first shot on target, and the goalkeeper stands big with a massive save to keep them level.
So still 0-0, but there's been another goal at Celtic Park. Ronnie Forsyth.
And we're out in the hour mark. It was the commentator's curse. I said that Celtic looked comfortable, and we didn't allow for Mykhailo Mudryk, their Shakhtar's star player. He burst from the halfway line. It was a blistering sprint, and he finished with a dynamite crashing shot past Joe Hart. It's now Celtic 1, Shakhtar 1, and we're hitting the hour mark.
Many Premier League clubs are looking at Mudryk, who you might remember, James, we saw him in the closing stages of that World Cup playoff game at Hampden when he came on, the blonde-haired midfielder, electric pace down the left-hand side. But 0-0 here after that penalty miss for Manchester City. Adeyemi with the cross. Brandt brings it under control. He's done well. Turns, edge of the area, chips the ball into the penalty box. Stooping header away by Ruben Diaz. Now it's out towards Hazard. Forward ball, Reina, left-hand side. Reina goes to ground, pulls it back, and the ball is screwed over by Hazard just inside the left corner of the penalty area, off his right foot into that gigantic stand away towards our left-hand side. 24,500 fans packed in and are buoyant after that penalty save by Corbell.
Yeah, that was incredible noise for an incredible save again from Corbell. Mahrez goes with real power and he reads it well, gets a cross early, strong save, and then Dortmund try and go on the attack from it.
Cross comes in, Mahrez heads it into the path of Gundogan in the penalty area. Still 0-0 then here in Dortmund. Ball from Mahrez given away. Brandt passes the ball to Adeyemi. He's got a bit of space if he can keep it in play, which he has. Bellingham's up with him. Adeyemi's over the halfway line. His forward ball towards Moukoko, the teenage forward, and then Akanji uses his strength and almost effortlessly deals with the threat of the 17-year-old Moukoko, who's been at Dortmund since the age of 12, the Cameroon-born teenager, already a German under-21 international, 4 goals in 6 appearances at that level. Need to keep an eye on that particular name and his progress, because I'm sure as he matures he will be some player. Leyton Orient 2, Gillingham 0, so a second goal for the League 2 leaders at home to Gillingham, and Milan have got a third goal now in Croatia. Dinamo Zagreb 0, Milan 3. Foden away, left-hand side, crosses into the penalty area. They're appealing for handball there as that cross came in from the left. That'll be naturally checked. Play continues meanwhile. Brandt gets it out to Reina. His forward ball. Head bobbing of Bellingham forward. The cry of Jude was a booming sound, and Bellingham breaking forward from midfield. I think he thought he was fouled, but the referee says it'll be a free kick. Bolton 0, Bolton 0, Burton 1 is a latest score, and Barrow are leading Grimsby by a goal to 0 in League 2. Just over an hour played then. Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0, and it's Stones who plays the ball now out towards that far side, taken off the chest by Bernardo Silva, the substitute, and along the ground. It's an early ball to Foden on that left-hand side. Alvarez waits. Mahrez is on this near side, the right. City are playing from left to right. Ake to Bernardo Silva. Foden's moved infield. Coming in now off that left touchline is Bernardo Silva. Passes the ball back. Rodri at a walking pace. Foden to Gundogan. Oh, it was a lovely idea. Just tried a deft little touch to lay it off towards Bernardo Silva. Had moved into the channel, but it was blocked by the Dortmund defence, and then Diaz has won the ball illegally, and it'll be a free kick to Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, I think we both made the same noise there when that nearly come off. Foden is starting to come into the game a little bit. Plays a square pass into Gundogan. As you say, Bernardo Silva had made that move just ahead of him, tried to just cush it into his path. Doesn't quite come off, but they have to do more of that, Man City, because they haven't offered near enough. Their only shot on target has been from the penalty spot. Yeah. They have to offer more going forward, because Dortmund, you can see how confident they are, even how they're building up. They're trying to build the play with 3 players, 2 centre-backs, a midfielder. The rest of the team are pushed so far up the pitch, they're willing to take that risk to try and get the reward of catching Man City in behind down the channels again.
Back pass from Hazard has been cleared away by Corbell. The League One leaders, Plymouth, have equalised at home park. Plymouth 1, Shrewsbury 1. Let's get an update in the Championship from our featured game at Turf Moor. Chris Coles.
Burnley 0, Norwich 0, just over an hour played. Bright start to this second half from both sides. Norwich far more adventurous, making this a much better watch. Todd Cantwell has come close, and Teemu Pukki looking lively. Now he's getting some service, but Burnley continue to press and still carry a threat. The rain sweeping around Turf Moor now. Still Burnley 0, Norwich 0.
It's a dry, mild night here in Germany. Oxford, who are leading away at Portsmouth, are down to 10 men as Alvarez picks it up and then loses the ball. And it's played back then by Reina to Hazard, the left back. Schlotterbeck, one of the central defenders, brings it out of defence. Never looked in full control of the ball, and as he falls forward, he's passed it out of play for a City throw to Ake. 64 minutes played then here. Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0. Rodri, high ball out to this near side, the right, taken quite high on the chest by Mahrez. Hazard behind him, now to Akanji, back with Mahrez. Akanji, the substitute at half-time, passes the ball out towards Ake, just inside the City half on the left-hand side. Foden, gliding across the surface. Diaz, Rodri, City seeing a lot of the ball. Dortmund have everybody back behind it. Gundogan having to be patient. Rodri out to Bernardo Silva, coming in off that left touchline now. Adeyemi with him. Ake's forward ball. Foden gets a touch and then demands the ball back, but Ake instead finds Gundogan. But it's a triangular passing pattern between the City players, but Dortmund seem content for City to have the ball in that area.
Yeah, they do. When the ball goes into Alvarez or Gundogan or Silva further forward in the middle, then they get back and close the space. They're happy to force City into the wide areas, and then they just shuffle across, and invariably City keep knocking the ball side to side, but they're getting territory now in and around the box.
Stones strides forward. Foden out to Bernardo Silva, threatening now this from City. Foden left corner of the area, sweeps over the cross, headed out by Hummels. Got plenty of distance on it too. One bounce and it's out of play for a City throw midway through the Dortmund half. Ajax are the only side who prevented Dortmund from scoring in their last 20 Champions League matches. That was October 2021 when Ajax won by 4-0. Here is Bernardo Silva, forward for Manchester City. Foden is an outlet out to his left. He waits. Bernardo Silva toys by the idea of passing it to him. Instead he goes back, but Rodri now brings Foden into play. And Manchester City are dominating here and are trying to prise open this Dortmund defence. Ball forward by Akanji. Stones. Gundogan into the penalty area. Gundogan with a shot. Saved at the near post by Corbell. Full time in the Rugby League World Cup. Dave Woods. Can't get to Dave just as yet.
That was much better from Man City. Much better. John Stones stepping from defence into midfield, plays that pass to Gundogan. He's actually hit it towards the back post, and I think it's a good connection he gets on it, but Schlotterbeck does really well. Gets a little nick and takes it into the hands of Corbell.
Here is Mahrez, edge of the area. Alvarez, first time shot, beaten out by the goalkeeper. Foden, heavy touch. Corbell makes the save at his feet. Forces the ball out wide, left-hand side. Bernardo Silva down by the byline to Foden with his back to goal, edge of the area. Rodri sends over the cross. Gundogan's there. Hazard will head it away. And Manchester City now are knocking at the door. Here is Mahrez. Sustained pressure this from Manchester City, still 0-0. Alvarez took it so early, didn't he?
He did. It's good play. They're really dominating the ball. City, they're really making Dortmund work really hard to close the gaps and shuffle across. The speed of their passing, at times having to go side to side. But whilst they're doing that, they're inching forward and they're getting in around the box.
Here now with Rodri. Rodri chips the ball forward. Mahrez actually does well on the full to play it back into the penalty area. Picked up by Corbell. So come in, Dave Woods.
It's finished. Papua New Guinea 32, Cook Islands 16. Relatively comfortable for PNG tonight, but Group D wide open now. Any one of the Cook Islands, PNG and Wales, could still make the quarterfinals to play England, and it'll all go down to the final round of games. But Papua New Guinea in the box seat, you'd think, having won here 32-16.
32-16, thanks Dave. Elsewhere in the Football League, Wycombe 1, Cambridge 3. 10 men of Charlton now losing at home to MK Dons 2-0. Coventry have equalised in the Championship. Coventry 1, Rotherham United 1, and Paris Saint-Germain 5, Maccabi Haifa 2. Benfica winning quite comfortably at home to Juventus. So both Paris Saint-Germain and Benfica will be joining the likes of City, Chelsea, Napoli, Bruges and Bayern in the knockout stages. And the way it stays, also Borussia Dortmund, as we're midway through the second half. Tomorrow night, Spurs Sporting Lisbon. On a busy night of Champions League action, Liverpool are at Ajax. Napoli Rangers, of course, is another game. As everybody now in this stadium, the largest in Germany, are rising to their feet and are clapping in unison. It certainly hasn't disappointed in terms of the atmosphere. It rarely does.
Imagine what they're delighted if they were winning. They've not even winning the game.
Here is Alvarez. They've certainly had the opportunities to be in a winning position, but now you just feel that it's Manchester City who are creating the greater the feels that the pendulum is swung in City's favour.
Yeah, they've got so much control in the game now, City. Without, I know that Alvarez had his shot and it was a good save. I think they would be looking to create a bit more, but you think of the amount of effort and energy that Dortmund have had to put in, even to get their opportunities in the first half and at the beginning of this second half, that it's natural that they can't keep that up, and that's why you think at the time it's really important that they manage to take one of those, because it gives you a lift when you get the goal. You don't feel as tired, you get that lift to go again. But Man City are in so much control now.
Here is Bernardo Silva with a cut back to the edge of the area. Rodri, though, loses out in the challenge to Brandt, who brings the ball away. Running with it now midway through the Dortmund half, out to Adeyemi, who certainly hasn't been nowhere near the same level of threat as he was in the first half, where he got in behind Cancelo numerous times. Bellingham now takes over for Borussia Dortmund. We've been playing for just over 70 minutes here. Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0, and City have won the ball, and it's with Foden away on that left-hand side. Hummels dives in, ball breaks back towards Bernardo Silva. Gundogan is up with him. Bernardo Silva looks to go on the outside of Zula. Foden is up in support as well, and it was Lukaku who was of all the players to come back there to help out for the yellow shirts of Borussia Dortmund as they attack that yellow wall. And they're going to make another change as well here, and Daniel Malen is going to be coming on. So a little bit of pace for the Dutch international, who didn't start. He's been suffering with an illness, not fit enough to start the full 90, but he'll certainly offer an injection of pace as Dortmund are attacking at 0-0. Inside, Adeyemi with a shot, charged down by Akanji. They're appealing for handball, and Akanji has been shown a yellow card, and it is a free kick to Dortmund just outside the penalty area.
Adeyemi, I think he's been listening to you, Deno, because he's sprung into life there. Cuts in off of that right-hand side. As soon as he gets it, you know he wants to get his shot away. Akanji has his arm outstretched, it fires off it. And now they've an opportunity. I'm not so sure the shot was going on target, but they've got an opportunity now in a dangerous position to test the goalkeeper.
When you've got 24,500 people doing a thunderclap, as they are now, it really is thunder. As Adeyemi is going to be coming off. That's his last bit of the action, with 18 minutes replacing. Daniel Malen will replace him, but he's certainly caught the eye.
Yeah, he has. He's been Dortmund's best player, biggest attacking threat, and he's done really well attacking. He had to do a lot of defending in the first half as well against Cancelo, and he stuck to his task. He's put in a hell of a shift tonight, and it's no surprise Malen coming on. He'll bring that freshness, that energy, that speed, and he'll be hoping that he can be the man that provides the breakthrough.
Portsmouth 1, Oxford 1. Dinamo Zagreb 0, Milan 4, Paris Saint-Germain 6, Maccabi Haifa 2, Coventry 1, Rotherham 2, Walsall 3, Harrogate 1. You're up to date. Free kick then to Dortmund at 0-0. 17 minutes remaining of normal time. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live and also Radio Manchester. City have everybody back in their own penalty area. It's fractionally right of centre, a couple of yards outside the D. Hazard or Moukoko. Hazard waits with his hands on his hips, but it looks like it's going to be the teenage forward Moukoko. No, it's not, it is Hazard, and it's into the top of the wall, and City headed away, only as far as Hummels. Plays the ball forward, headed on by Zula, a tumbling Zula, and out of play it goes for a goal kick, and we are still goalless. Let's get an update from Celtic, shall we? Ready for side.
One each, quarter of an hour to go, but miss of the season has been provided to us by Shakhtar. Another searing burst by Mudryk, the man who scored their equaliser. He switched the ball inside to Danilo Silkan. He was 5 yards out in front of an empty goal, Hart stranded in the far side. He allowed the ball to come across his body and past the post, to the incredulity of the Donetsk press, who in front of me battering their heads in disbelief. It was a what happens next question, but at the moment it's Celtic 1, Shakhtar 1.
16 minutes remaining here. Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0. Chelsea, remember, moving into the knockout stages as group winners after a 2-1 win at Salzburg. We brought you commentary of that. Tomorrow we've got Tottenham, Sporting Lisbon. Here we are in Dortmund. Saturday, by the way, Brighton Chelsea with the usual goal service, to be followed by Fulham against Everton at 5:30 on 5 Live, and 5 Live's Premier League Sunday, Arsenal Nottingham Forest, to be followed by Manchester United against West Ham United. Quarter of an hour remaining. Foden to Bernardo Silva, far side the left. City playing from left to right as we look. Rodri now takes over, and now with Bernardo Silva almost to a standstill. Every outfield player is in the Borussia Dortmund half, away towards our right-hand side. Jack Grealish just getting his final instructions from Pep Guardiola, so he will be coming on. Mahrez now on this right-hand side. Plymouth 2, Shrewsbury 1, so the League One leaders have turned it around at Home Park, and Bolton have equalised at home to Burton. Bolton 1, Burton 1. Akanji, Ake, just inside the City half. Dortmund again have got everybody back behind the ball, and it's gone very, very tactical as City completely dominate and control the ball. As watching Edin Terzic with his arms folded has a word with his coaching staff, and the former Blackburn Rovers striker is going to be coming on as well, Anthony Modeste, for the last 10 minutes or so. Here is Stones to Rodri. Now with Akanji. Mahrez plays it early in from the right-hand side. Gundogan takes over, drifts back out to this near side. Stones in a central area, passes the ball to Ake. Both full-backs pushed on then for City. Ake to Foden, back to Ake once again. Bellingham looks to close him down. Rodri. Across to Akanji. Forward ball to the right. Mahrez, who had that penalty saved by Corbell. Now it's with Akanji running out towards the right, and once again that structure, the organisation of Borussia Dortmund, just that wall of 5 and then a wall of 4 back behind the ball. Even Moukoko now coming back to help out. Manchester City unable to try and find a way through.
They can't, because of the what you've just been speaking about, the Dortmund are putting in to frustrate them, to force them to go side to side, to close those gaps and stop the balls getting played into dangerous positions. Silva, Gundogan, Alvarez and Mahrez. They just can't find a way through Man City. But you know, one of their strengths is their patience and waiting to find that pass and find that run. And it's, I mean, for the good player Dortmund, it must be taking so much out of them, because they're putting so much effort in just to stop a pass, not even to win it back, just to stop passes being played through.
Here is Foden, accelerates, darts in between two players. Alvarez then loses the ball up towards Moukoko, who runs forward, but he's just shown too much towards Akanji, and Akanji will touch it towards Ruben Dias, and Ruben Dias then is able to turn just outside the D of his own penalty area, and rather than go back to the City debutant in goal, Ortega, he passes the ball forward, and City once again will build from the back with 12 minutes remaining of normal time here. Still 0-0. Modeste and Grealish, the two substitutes, wait to come on for what'll just be, I guess, cameo roles in the closing stages here on BBC Radio 5 Live. We're with you through until 10:30. And Manchester City now with Foden. Out to Bernardo Silva. Runs the ball back. Little ball inside to Rodri. Helps it on its way towards Stones. Now with Akanji. His forward ball to Mahrez. Now it's with Akanji once again. Then Chan decides to run at Stones. He passes the ball to Diaz. The yellow shirts still containing Manchester City at this stage and keeping them a long way away from that penalty area as they push up once more, try and squeeze City into that middle third. Goalless, Rodri to Stones. Here is Stones once again, now towards Akanji. Mahrez has gone into a central area on this occasion, but Dortmund force City back, doing their job very, very well, marshalled excellently by Hummels.
Yeah, they are, every single one of them, and it feels like Modeste and Grealish have been down there for 10 minutes waiting for the ball to go out. It hasn't gone out. City have been patient, knocking side to side. Dortmund, again, that structure, that organisation, the work rate to force them to keep going back and side to side. As much as it's sometimes you could say it's boring, it's really impressive how hard they're working and how difficult they're making it for City to find that breakthrough.
Like a game of chess at the minute, they're moving the pieces around the pitch of Manchester City and just waiting to try and strike, as Benfica 4, Juventus 2 is the latest score. Might not be enough for Juventus. The header away, hook back by Gundogan and then cleared away by Brandt, and then a header back by Rodri to Ruben Dias. Hartlepool are struggling. Hartlepool 0, Salford 2 is the latest score in League 2. But Juventus 4-2 down in the Estadio de Luz and heading out of the Champions League. Celtic still drawing at home to Shakhtar Donetsk, which is not a good scoreline from Parkhead, with Real Madrid still to play away at the Bernabeu next week. Manchester City now win a corner with under 10 minutes remaining.
Finally, the subs can come on, finally. That seemed like the ball was in play for an eternity there.
And now, at long last, the substitutions can be made. And first of all, we're going to see Jack Grealish coming on. Phil Foden was about to take the corner kick over on that far side, but Foden is being replaced here by Jack Grealish with 9 minutes remaining. And there seems to be more activity down below. And I'm just thinking that this will be probably Dortmund's final opportunity to make another change, because you only get those 3 opportunities either side of half-time. And therefore they're going to bring on 2 players. And Marius Wolf is going to be coming on. But first of all, Modeste to replace Moukoko. Penalty at Burnley, Chris Coles.
Penalty to Burnley. Jay Rodriguez stands over it, given for handball inside the penalty area. Did look like it struck the hand of a Norwich defender, and here comes Jay Rodriguez, Burnley's top scorer, to give them the lead. Of course he does. Slams it down the middle, and Burnley's persistence has paid off. 9 minutes to play. Burnley 1, Norwich 0.
to extend their unbeaten run to 14. Well, they've still got another opportunity to bring on another one. It just seems to be a little bit more urgency there, but Marius Wolf has come on to replace Hazard. Corner kick then for City. Wasn't a good one from Gundogan. It was a poor slice clearance, which means that City have it with Mahrez on this near side the right, back to Bernardo Silva, who hits it forward. Zula stretching, and his header goes out of play for a City throw level with the penalty area, and we have 7 minutes remaining.
7 minutes to try and find the breakthrough, but you know, as it stands, this result suits both teams, so you can understand why there's lack of real urgency to go and get that winner from either side. I'm not suggesting that they're not trying to win it, of course they are, but it's not frantic, it's control from both sides, and as I said, at the minute, the result as it stands does suit both teams.
Juventus is staging a fight back. Benfica 4, Juventus 3. Swindon have equalised in injury time at Valley Parade. Bradford City 1, Swindon 1 is the latest score in League 2. Leipzig 3, Real Madrid 1. That's in Celtic's group, Group F. And you're up to date. In fact, Coventry 2, Rotherham United 2 is a latest score in the Championship. BBC Radio 5 Live. We're also on Radio Manchester tonight with our commentary as Stones is forward ball. Controlled by Mahrez. Mahrez to Gundogan, falling backwards, hits it first time, just inside the penalty area. Central position, right footed, couldn't keep it down. Goal kick, still 0-0. James.
Yeah, I was just behind them. It was a switch of play, diagonal in behind for Mahrez, who I think may have just been offside. Takes a brilliant touch with outside his left foot, and Gundogan is at the edge of the box, and I think he just hits it slightly behind him where he can't then wrap his foot round it to get the connection he wants.
City have won their last 3 meetings against Dortmund, all by the scoreline of 2-1. No side has ever won 4 successive Champions League games by the same scoreline. Bayern also beat Arsenal 5-1, 3 in a row. Brandt to the edge of the area, takes a tumble. Cleared away by Ake for Manchester City. Awkward ball to control for Alvarez. Cleared by Schlotterbeck. Sliding in there was the substitute Wolf, who's filling in now at left back. Blonde-haired midfielder by trade with his short little ponytail. And it seems that Edin Terzic, who turns 40 on Sunday, is wanting his side to communicate a little bit more, judging by the hand actions to Marius Wolf. Here is Akanji. Ball to Stones. Outside the centre circle of the City half, playing from left to right. 5 minutes remaining of normal time. Up towards Gundogan. Bounced away off his left knee. Doesn't go out of play. Schlotterbeck to Chan. Almost gets himself in a bit of a pickle. And then the ball is hit long by Hummels, kneed away by Ake, but it was still well defended by Ake. And now Grealish running on his toes, teasing the opposition. Chan was back in position. Here is Rodri, puts his right foot on the ball, comes to a standstill, waits for the supporting run out to his left, which is Ake. Back towards Grealish it goes once again. Because of the size of those bulging calves, the socks rolled down by Jack Grealish. Decided that James McFadden has a new nickname on this trip. 24 hours in his company. I'm going to call him the Magician from now on. As here is Bernardo Silva, who hammers it across the penalty area. Face of goal it goes to Mahrez, right-hand side. Back towards Akanji. Takes a deflection. And the flag was up. So with your mystic skills, are we going to have a goal in the next 4 minutes plus a bit of added on time?
I hope so.
Or does your magic not extend that far?
No, not anymore. Not anymore. If I was younger and one of the teams was needing a goal potentially, but not anymore. I hope so, but it won't be me that's conjuring anything up.
Papadopoulos is coming on, 23-year-old defender. Joined the club in 2021. It's only the second appearance for him this season. So he has come on, and Giovanni Reina, son of Claudio, ex-City and Sunderland player. 11 caps, the American international makes way. That's their final substitution. 7-2. Paris Saint-Germain now lead Maccabi Haifa. Mind you, still some goals short of the record scoreline, which is held by Borussia Dortmund with most goals in a game. Borussia Dortmund 8, Legia Warsaw 4. Bolton 2, Burton 1. A 98th minute winner, it would seem, and Wickham 2, Cambridge 3 is a latest score. And Mahrez is coming off, and Manchester City are making their final change. And for his 10th substitute appearance this season, a local lad from Wythenshawe, Cole Palmer, comes on to replace Mahrez on this right-hand side. But the game petering out now, still at 0-0. But as James McFadden quite rightly says, it's a scoreline that suits both, because City will be confirmed as group winners, and Borussia Dortmund will be joining Manchester City in the knockout stages. Just over 2 minutes remaining of normal time. Ball played forward by Akanji. Schlotterbeck, blonde-haired defender, keeps the ball in play. Inside now it goes, and the ball is hit downfield by Papadopoulos, and it's a long clearance, and there is Ortega. They created certainly the best of the opportunities in the first half. You think of that one early in the second half, Adeyemi at the far post. Apart from that, they haven't really posed City a threat in this second period, Dortmund.
No, they haven't. Adeyemi, as I've said numerous occasions, was the best player for Dortmund, the most likely to get them either with the assist or to score himself. Is the two biggest chances of the game, one in either half. And the one in the second half, I just feel that he should hit it first time. If he does, he's got a great chance of scoring. But since then, you're right, they've not really threatened too much. And I think it's down to the way City have played the game, knocking the ball about, making them work so hard to even just stop the passes being played through. And then when they win it back, that energy's just not the same to go and break.
If there is to be a late goal, you sense it will come from the team in sky blue, as Cole Palmer tries to weave his way through in the right-hand side of the penalty area. Grealish now pops up on this near side, the right, as Manchester City play from left to right, out towards that far side. Ake to Bernardo Silva, level with the penalty area. Still 0-0. Grealish and Bernardo Silva. Dortmund defending deep. Rodri hardly seems to have broken sweat at times in this second half. Bernardo Silva. Jude Bellingham unable to add to his goal-scoring repertoire this season, as Cole Palmer's weak ball in from the right-hand side. But that was a pass over the top that's been applauded by Guardiola to try and get Cole Palmer involved.
Yeah, and it's a pass that Man City, every single game they play, have good success with, and maybe they haven't played it quite enough. Is that because they're not getting the runners to go and make it, because they're into this rhythm, they knock the ball side to side, and they haven't really had that, killer instinct, that real threat to cut Dortmund open and go beyond that back line. But they've had a little bit of success with it in this game, just maybe not as much as we're used to seeing.
I've got to admit, I indulged myself a little bit there as you were talking. Everybody stood to their feet and the atmosphere was incredible. I took my headphones off and just took in the atmosphere. I hope it's coming through on the radio. But as a result, and I was just, watching and looking at that mass of people away towards our left, I missed the electronic board to as how much stoppage time will be added on. So we'll find that out as there is a free kick been awarded to Dortmund. And it's 3 minutes of added on time, which we're now into. Free kick, Brandt to take it for Dortmund, into the penalty area. Headed away well by Rodri. And Schlotterbeck offside. Free kick to Manchester City. So we're into the 3 minutes of added on time here in the Westfalenstadion. And Dortmund will be very, very content, because last season they finished third behind Ajax and Sporting. They failed to reach the knockout stages for the first time since the 17-18 campaign, but they'll be progressing and extending into their Champions League campaign for what is their 17th in the group stages and a club record 7th in succession. So into the knockout stages they will go, and Manchester City have got what Pep Guardiola talked about being their priority, confirming themselves as group winners, as Rodri to Gundogan, Akanji. Nobody's leaving early. Sometimes 5 minutes before the end you think they'll beat the traffic. Not here in Germany. They're wanting, and as a result there's still not many empty seats anywhere.
They have been incredible. They really have. I mean, yes, we'd love to see more goals, more attacking threat, more flair, trick, skills, whatever, but this crowd, that yellow wall to our left-hand side, has been unbelievable. They've not stopped singing. Like, the team's not winning, they're not creating loads of chances now. They're not getting on the players' backs. Any kind of the noise near the whistling now is because Man City have the ball. It's not because they're not happy with how their team's playing. They have been absolutely incredible. They have not disappointed. It's been much more than I expected it ever could be.
And there is the final whistle. It's just been keep ball really for Manchester City in the closing stages. But the applause is because the draw suits both sides. Manchester City confirmed as group winners, and Borussia Dortmund, despite seeing their proud record of failing to score for the first time after 55 matches since June 2020, a goalless draw, and the point will take Borussia Dortmund through with City into the knockout stages of the Champions League. But they did squander so many chances, particularly in the first half. But Manchester City themselves had a missed opportunity from the penalty spot. Mahrez, fabulous save by Corbell, and it's finished here in the Westfalenstadion. Borussia Dortmund 0, Manchester City 0.